Welcome back. Today's submitted material is a high-energy video critique of Candace Owens' latest show, which accuses Bible-reading Christians of waging war and alleges a conspiracy to murder Charlie Kirk.
Right.
Now, this piece is clearly driven by a very powerful conviction, and our job here is to make sure that conviction has the absolute maximum persuasive impact.
And the expertise is there. The stakes are obviously incredibly high. So let's just jump right in and talk about how to make this response completely bulletproof.
Okay, so a key theme here is, well, it's moral out, and it seems justified. The notes say you're referring to her content as straight out of the pit of hell.
And her, personally, as a lying scumbag and a narcissistic psychopath.
Right.
And that's our first point. The material's frequent reliance on highly inflammatory and ad hominem language risks undercutting the powerful theological and political arguments being advanced.
So the passion, understandable as it is, might actually be getting in the way.
It can, yes, because you have to think about the strategic goal. Is it just to vent, or is it to actually dismantle her narrative and persuade people?
To persuade, definitely.
Well, when you use a label like narcissistic psychopath, you immediately put up a barrier. You risk alienating viewers who might otherwise agree with your substantive points, the theological errors, the factual problems, but they're just, put off by the intensity of the personal attack.
The language itself becomes a distraction from the core argument.
A huge distraction. They can dismiss the critique because of its packaging, not its content. It gives them an easy out.
So how do you fix that? I mean, you don't want to strip away the righteous anger and make it sound cold or academic. This is an important fight.
You don't. You maintain the fire, but you let the evidence ignite it for you. The suggestion is to recenter the critique completely. Focus on the claims, the actions, the specific rhetorical devices Candace Owens is using.
So you let her own manipulative strategy carry the moral weight.
Exactly. You already flagged it, the DAVA framework. That's brilliant. Trust the audience to draw the conclusion. The evidence is so much more damning than any insult we can deploy.
So it's about moving from subjective judgment to objective analysis of her behavior.
Precisely. For example, instead of just saying, this woman needs significant help, spend that time analytically detailing how her actions perfectly align with the DAVA strategy: deny, attack, reverse victim and offender.
And you can use her own words as proof.
Use her own words. That post where she claims the Likud party is threatening her and Tucker, that is a perfect, textbook example of reverse victim and offender in action.
It shows a clear pattern. It's not just a one-off outburst.
Right. And another place to strengthen this is where you say, I cannot allow her to destroy things that are actually good for the gospel of Christ. That is a powerful, compelling mission statement.
It's the core of the piece, really.
It is. So right after that line, you should immediately launch into an analytical dissection of her specific accusations about AmFest. Prove them factually wrong right there.
Instead of pivoting back to comments about our character.
Yes, you harness that emotional intensity from your mission statement and you channel it directly into rigorous factual analysis. You move from venting to dismantling. You make the audience conclude she's unreliable based on her facts, not just your opinion of her.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Channeling the energy. Now let's talk about the overall architecture of the piece. It currently feels a bit like a rapid-fire processing of the material. I mean, we jump from the claim that Owens has solved the Charlie Kirk murder to unpacking Megyn Kelly insane claims, and then over to her alleged obsession with Ben Shapiro.
And that's the second big point. The organization of the material currently functions as a rapid-fire catalog of outrage, which makes it really hard for the audience to follow the logical thread.
The problem is cognitive load, isn't it?
It's exactly that. You're asking the audience to hold a complex geopolitical conspiracy with Israel, a theological war on Christians, and internal political drama in their heads all at once.
And if you throw too many balls in the air, they can't catch the most important ones.
Right. Any single critique is prevented from fully landing. The gravity of the main thesis, the murder theory, gets diluted when you pivot to a personal feud 30 seconds later. The audience is left with just a general sense of condemnation, which isn't the goal.
But I worry if we cut those other parts, like the Ben Shapiro obsession, we lose key evidence of her, overall pattern of behavior.
So you don't cut them. You reorder and reprioritize them. The suggestion is to implement a much clearer hierarchical structure.
Group-related ideas together.
Yes. And you have to prioritize the most significant, most damaging claims. That means the declaration of war on Christians and, centrally, the analysis of the AmFest and TPUSA motives.
So the murder narrative, that conspiracy theory, has to be the main event. It needs the spotlight.
It's the forest. The personal feuds are the trees. You need a systematic teardown of that forest first. We'd recommend dedicating a focused central block to dissecting that core political claim.
The alleged betrayal of Charlie Kirk by Christians, Israel, and his church.
All of it. Her theory tying it to evangelical churches and his last trip to Asia. That's the outlandish claim that requires the most systematic, fact-based response.
That definitely changes the audience experience. It feels more like a guided investigation. But what about the transition? When you make those hard pivots?
Transition phases are, they're non-negotiable here. They're like verbal signposts.
Guiding the listener.
You have to signal the shift clearly. So instead of just ending the murder topic and jumping to TPUSA's finances, you use a phrase like, having addressed the high-stakes political theories, let's now turn to the specific evidence she uses to frame Christian leaders as money-focused, specifically her commentary on AmFest.
That immediately clarifies the structure. It tells them, okay, we finished with the political conspiracy, now we're moving to the financial one.
Exactly. It's a verbal roadmap. It lets the audience mentally file away the previous argument, ensuring it landed before you move on to the next.
That's a powerful way to manage the complexity. Okay, let's move to the third area, which is defending the organizations she's attacking.
TPUSA?
Right? The piece makes a strong case for their mission, highlighting Charlie Kirk's focus on the gospel, but it's up against Owens's claim that she felt darkness, and the event was just about money. She called it a Las Vegas convention.
And this is our third point. Bolstering the counter-argument against that financial skepticism is absolutely crucial. The defense needs to be unimpeachable.
Right. Now it seems to rely on their positive intent, that they're sold out for Christ.
And on subjective success, like the amount of souls, which, look, that's a weak position when the critique is specifically targeting the veneer of Christianity.
Because if it looks like a flashy commercial event, saying, "But our hearts are pure," is just so easily dismissed as spin.
It is. The Las Vegas convention jab wins by default if the defense is only based on intent. So that a suggestion is to acknowledge the logistical necessity of funding. You rightly say you've got to have money, but then you have to immediately pivot.
Pivot to what?
To concrete objective evidence that proves the primary focus is spiritual or mission-driven, not financial.
So shift from defending why they need money to defending what they produce with the money.
Exactly. If the accusation is that AmFest functions like a trade show, the defense must be, here is why it factually does not. You have to compare the primary output.
Like the excellent messages from people like Allie Beth Stuckey.
You leverage that. You can explicitly say something like, unlike a commercial convention focused on product launches, the primary output of AmFest was mission-focused speech.
That changes the frame of the debate. It's about content and function, not just feelings and cost.
Right. You ask the rhetorical question, look at the hundreds of hours of stage content. Was it mostly theological instruction and political mobilization, or was it a 5-day ad for merchandise? Focusing on the tangible content provides objective proof.
And what about showing that the organization's structure itself puts the mission first?
That's the other layer of the defense. If you can, point to tangible, non-monetary aspects of TPUSA's work, their campus ministries, free educational materials, community outreach.
So you show where the money from events like AmFest actually goes.
You show that the money isn't the end goal, it's a tool for the ministry. That directly counters the veneer of Christianity claim with documented action, not just statements of faith.
That's a much stronger, more layered defense.
This is such a powerful, necessary response you're building. To maximize its impact, we've really boiled it down to 3 core areas. First, refine that passionate tone.
Elevate persuasive credibility by focusing on the manipulation mechanism, the DAVA framework, instead of the personal insults.
Exactly. Second, restructure that complex array of claims for a much sharper focus and a clearer logical flow.
Dedicate the most rigorous analysis to dismantling that central high-stakes conspiracy theory and use clear transitions to guide the audience through it.
And finally, bolster your defense of the mission and the organizations. Provide that objective, structural counter-evidence. Shift the discussion away from subjective intent and prove that the mission-focused output is what truly matters.
The conviction you bring to this is an immense strength. That passion is what gets viewers to engage in the first place. Now it's just about applying that same rigor to the structure and rhetoric. Channeling that passion into clear, undeniable analysis will strengthen your position and help you reach the maximum number of people.
We'd love to see how you synthesize these suggestions.
Please submit your revised work back to us for a follow-up critique when you're ready. Until next time.